Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. Today's video is a very interesting one and you need to get your thoughts down in the comments straight away. I am going to be ranking all the managers that Manchester United have had post-Fergie, bar obviously the interim ones that were only here for a couple of games, Ryan Giggs and Michael Carrick. But we have them all. We've got them lined up. I'm going to rank them. I've seen this going around Twitter. I've seen people doing it and I've seen loads of different answers. And I also have Ricky's rankings, which... I mean, have a little guess how they're going to go. I have Mark's rankings, they're different to mine, and then we're going to go through mine, counting down from 6th to 1st place. So let's get straight into it. So first, I want to bring in Ricky's because I had a little laugh when I saw who he'd put top. Obviously, no disrespect. I respect Ricky's football opinion so much. He's taught me a lot about the game. We get on so well. He's one of my very good friends. But he's put Louis van Gaal in #1 spot. Louis van Gaal, people's memories are short. People's memories are very short. I remember sitting in that stadium feeling like I would rather go and watch paint dry. I remember like counting how many clouds were in the sky. The football was that boring. But Ricky loves a little 1-0. He kind of loves that football where you keep possession, you know. Anybody can score a goal. He has his 1.5 goals that he talks about. So for Ricky, he loves that sort of football. So which is why he's put Van Gaal at #1. Also, Van Gaal likes Martial, which is another reason, probably why he's putting in #1 spot, because a lot of the plays that Ricky really liked, Van Gaal liked as well. As you can see there, the win percentages are on the screen and how many trophies that the manager has won. He's put Mourinho in 2nd. Obviously, Mourinho's won 3 trophies with Manchester United. Kind of a little bit underrated, to be honest, as a Man United manager. I know things went sour. 58% win percentage. He's put Erik ten Hag, who, by the way, Ricky wants out. He wants to get a new manager in, and he's put Erik ten Hag in 3rd spot. I think that's purely for his love for Johnny Evans and the fact that Erik ten Hag rates Johnny Evans. Ricky's told me he's seen the light with Johnny Evans is our best centre-back. Just repeating what Ricky's told me. Erik ten Hag, obviously, in his first season, won 1 trophy with us. I know it was a Carabao Cup, but it's still a very good achievement, especially after taking over a team that was the worst point-scoring Manchester United team in the Premier League. So I think Erik ten Hag does deserve to be higher on this list, but you'll see my ranking. 64% win percentage, which a lot of people wouldn't realise how good that is. It's the best out of all these managers on this list. So Erik ten Hag, despite the football not being great, he's doing well. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 0 trophies, bless him. 55% win percentage, he's put in 4th. Rangnick goes in 5th. Again, 0 trophies, 38% win percentage. Rangnick had a shocker, but he took over a team that had down tools, and it was just... I feel like Rangnick really didn't get a fair crack at it. I also think he's a sporting director. He's not really a manager, and he's doing really well with Austria now. Then you have David Moyes in 6th spot with one trophy, 51%. 1 trophy was the Community Shield, though, when he'd first walked through the door. I mean, a trophy's a trophy, but David Moyes, again, it just was the complete wrong appointment, wasn't it? So there are Ricky's rankings. I agree with the bottom 2. The rest of it I don't agree with, but they'd all be in my top 4. Let's move on to Mr. Goldbridge's rankings, and let's go through them. Let me know your thoughts as well. A picture went through of me putting Ten Hag #1 a little bit ago, and I'm not saying that's my ranking now, you have to wait and see, and people are clipping it up, saying all sorts of stuff, and I just said it was on a complete show that was out of context. It was based on potential of what the manager can be. So I think Erik ten Hag does get sometimes a little bit of unfair criticism considering everything he's had to deal with, everything that's going on behind the scenes, the ownership, his win percentage, the trophy he's won. The football 100% needs to improve and he needs to implement his style. But I think you've got to give him time to do so. Anyway, let's move on to Mark's rankings here, which I'm sure a lot of you will be intrigued to know. So straight away, he's got David Moyes in #6. I think everybody would. David Moyes just, again, was a bit of a shocker, wasn't it? He's got Ole in 5th, which I was surprised that he put Ole that low. I disagree with Ole being that low. Yes, Ole didn't win a trophy, but he got to semi-finals, he got to finals. I thought he played some good football at times. He was never going to be the coach that was going to be able to take us forward. He just wasn't experienced enough. I don't think he was disciplined enough. But he knew what Manchester United was about, and he played some good counter-attacking football that I really enjoyed, especially in lockdown. He bottled finals, Europa League final. He was De Gea scoring a penalty away, or at least saving a penalty away from a Europa League trophy. And that would massively, I think, would change Mark's list on this one. So I don't think I agree with Ole being below Ralph Rangnick. I think that's really, really, really harsh. Rangnick for Mark's gone in 4th, probably just because he called out the club and said it was open heart surgery, and for that he will always be a bit of a legend, and he was absolutely right. He spoke nothing but facts. I always look forward to a Ralph Rangnick press conference. You always knew you were going to get a little bit of tea, you were going to get a little bit of gossip in there, and he basically just spoke the truth. He's put Van Gaal in third. Again, you're going to see my rankings, but I get it why he's there. He won an FA Cup, and he's a very competent manager that's had a good career. But again, for me, it's about trophies, but it's also about enjoying what I'm seeing, and I just did not enjoy what I saw under Van Gaal. What I did like with it was his little touchline dramas that he had. You know, that one where he walked over and he just dropped to the floor? That was hilarious. Also, some of his press conferences were quite funny as well, to be fair with him. He had character of personality. But for me, I think, again, to put Van Gaal there, I don't agree with it, but fair enough. I agree with his top two, which is Erik ten Hag and Mourinho. So, to put Erik ten Hag at second, I think, obviously you'd have to ask Mark about this on a show, but I think that's probably because Erik ten Hag's football yet isn't looking great. And also, Jose Mourinho won the most prestigious trophy out of all of our managers post-Fergie, which was the Europa League trophy. Erik ten Hag needs to win something better than the Carabao Cup, probably to overtake Jose Mourinho in a lot of your guys' mind. Obviously, Erik ten Hag's win percentage so far is 64%, so he's better. But Jose got second in the league with that team. He had some good moments in Europe. He obviously won a cup as well. So Jose Mourinho, really, he wins your trophies, and he's a winner. And he had a really good crack at the United job. I think if things went differently, he could have done even more. Obviously, when Mourinho was there, player power won over manager power. Players like Pogba, even Martial he wanted to get rid of, which I wasn't in agreement with at the time, but you've kind of got to follow with what the manager wants to do. We didn't do that. I remember Mourinho wanted to get rid of Martial to bring in Perisic, I think it was, and one of the Glazer families wouldn't allow him because he thought Martial was potentially, Ballon d'Or worthy. And Martial, obviously, I think he's a great player, but he's never reached the heights that we wanted him to for Manchester United. And you look at Jose Mourinho, I really didn't like the drama that happened with Luke Shaw, because I thought Luke Shaw is a great player, and I thought it was really harsh the way he kind of treated him publicly. But Mourinho was an old school style winner who's had many, many successes in his history. And actually, Mourinho on record said that getting second with Man United is his greatest managerial achievement. I think there was a bit of satire in that, but this guy's won the Italian treble. To do it under the ownership, I think he did really well. So I agree with that, but the rest of it, I think he's been very harsh on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer there. But I'll move on to mine. I'll reveal him from 6th to top. So in 6th, it'll be no surprise, it's David Moyes. I don't have to explain it. You went from Fergie to Moyes. It literally was like being up on cloud 9 to being locked in a basement with no food or water. Sorry, David Moyes, but it was bad. It was bad. And it was the same squad as well that Fergie won the league with. I know there was a lot of things that went wrong. There was things behind the scenes, like getting in all of his own staff, getting rid of the United staff. It just didn't work. In 5th spot, I have gone with Ralph Rangnick. Special spot in my heart for Ralph. I absolutely love the fact he called out the club. I wish he would have gone upstairs and been the sporting director at Manchester United, working alongside Erik ten Hag. It was kind of put out in the media that Erik ten Hag didn't want that, and he wanted full control over transfers. But looking back on it, I think he should have taken Ralph Rangnick. I don't know if that's the truth. I don't know if it was the club that kind of shoved him out the way because he was speaking so honestly and they didn't want that coming out. But Ralph, for me, should have gone upstairs. He wanted Luis Diaz, he wanted Vlahovic, he wanted Gvardiol. There were so many players Alvarez, that he wanted us to buy, Zakaria, that he wanted us to go and get, and the club just outright refused. They didn't give him anything in January. The players completely down tools. Ralph Rangnick really had no kind of hope in that job, and the players turned against him straight away. There was leaks coming out about everything about driving home in the dark. It just didn't go well for Ralph on the pitch, and I remember watching the football inside the stadium, and it was horrendous. It really, really was. But I do think he spoke well, and he completely knows football inside and out. In 3rd spot, I have gone with... So not 3rd spot. In 4th spot, I have gone with Louis van Gaal. And again, to repeat the reasons I said, I take enjoyment of football when I'm watching my team quite seriously, which is why you might say to me, why have you put Erik ten Hag so high up this list? Because the football at the moment is poor, like it is. But I've remembered, really good games under Erik ten Hag, and I know that there's potential there. With Van Gaal, I just think he's a manager that we got in a bit too late. I think he's a good manager, I think he's a competent manager, and I know he was restricted by the fact there were signings that he wanted and he just couldn't get. He's come out in interviews and said, he'd asked for signings because he wanted to play more attacking style football, and they'd get him like his 4th, 5th choice, which means he couldn't implement the football he wanted to do. I get it, working with the Glazers is like having your hands tied behind your back, but the football really was dreadful. There was so many 0-0s, 1-0s. There's some graphic that you'd be able to find somewhere. It was like 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. It was dreadful football for quite a long time. And to be fair to him, won an FA Cup and got sacked the next day. Like if a manager did that now, we'd all be applauding him. So the standards have dropped over the years. But yeah, Louis van Gaal goes in 4th spot for me. Ricky's not going to be happy, but it's just the football. It just wasn't for me. In 3rd spot, I have gone with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Really didn't want to see Ole leave. He had to go, and I was Ole until the end, but he had to go. But he just brought a feel-good factor back to the club. Did he set us back in some of the things he did with the lack of discipline? Yes, he did. Were his signings very questionable? The window of Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Dan James was a questionable window. You know, Donny van de Beek, we all know he didn't choose that signing, he wanted Jack Grealish. So it's hard to kind of zoom in the managers and different signings because we don't actually know which ones came from where. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I will always remember that PSG game. He brought a feel-good factor back to the club, the counter-attacking football days, and it was just kind of, you know, hit it and let's see what happens. It was just Ole ball. I enjoyed it. NHS lockdown, when we had Martial, you know, when Greenwood at the time, Rashford, like that football was great. You know, when you had Matic, Pogba, Bruno, like I enjoyed it. And maybe that's just me thinking about the good times, but I liked it. Again, the reason he's in 3rd is because we did have some batterings, and towards the end, it was just hard to watch. I felt sorry for him in every game. The play is just completely down tools, and it was just really, really hard to watch. And I just don't think he knew quite what he was doing. But you know, his coaches, Carrick and McKenna, they're doing really well. They're doing really well in the Championship now, so we'll see what happens with them. In 2nd spot, I've gone with Erik ten Hag. Previously, I've said Erik ten Hag would be top for me, but because he's not achieved the kind of trophies that Jose's done yet, and he's not achieved the kind of success Jose's done yet, I'm going to put Erik ten Hag in 2nd. But I do think the potential of Erik ten Hag, with new ownership, with the right footballing directors, sporting directors and scouts and ownership above him, I think the potential is bigger. I think he's a top coach, Erik ten Hag. I think at the moment we're going through a tough spell where he's not been able to implement the football he wants to play, but I think you've got to stick with him. His win percentage there speaks for itself, 64%. You know, the Barcelona games in the Europa League last year I thought was excellent. The City game last year was excellent. Liverpool at home was excellent. He's had some really good games as Manchester United manager. Again, Arsenal at home last year was good. This year it's been really rocky, but I think we've got to stick with him past this rocky patch. His signings have been poor, but I really do see the potential in him. And number 1, I've gone with Jose Mourinho for all the reasons I stated when we were talking about Marks. He is a winner, and the Europa League trophy was a brilliant memory for me against Ajax. I remember it. It's a shame things went the way it did. Ibrahimovic, he brought him to the club, and that was it was great. You know, I initially thought Pogba was going to be so good. Now, in reflection, that signing was poor, but I was so excited when Pogba came. And I just think under Mourinho, he had that character, he had that charm. I wish we got Mourinho a lot younger and earlier on in his career, I really do. But I do respect everything he did at Manchester United. It went sour, he did need to go. But considering what all of these managers achieved, I think my ranking's a fair ranking. But get in the comments down below, who do you agree with the most? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Mark? Do you agree with Ricky with Louis van Gaal's army at number 1? I still remember that, Louis van Gaal's army, hilarious. But get in the comments down below who you agree with the most, what your ranking would be. Maybe you disagree with us all. Maybe you agree with certain people on different aspects and others are not. But let me know in the comments your thoughts. I'd be interested to know. But let's get behind Erik ten Hag, the manager. I'm not saying you have to, but let's get behind him. This can improve. I do think he's the man for the job. Hit a like on the video on your way out, everyone. And I hope you enjoyed this different style of video because I certainly enjoyed making it. But subscribe to the channel and I will see you on the next one, everyone.